Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome back to the third session in the series. All right. So, we are talking about how accountability can alter the whole experience of healing. And last time we spoke about what stops us from taking the accountability. On that same line, we would like to continue something more. So, when we look at the hurt, when something happens and we feel hurt, we also feel innocent, and we either hope or we wait for or we try to do something to make another person realize, or in other words, feel the guilt for what they have done to us. So, this is a very human nature. We all have this guilty conscience versus innocence conscience uh, within ourselves. Most of the times, in unawareness, we are into one of the two. So, as soon as we get into guilty conscience, we strive to move towards innocent conscience. We want to feel innocent. So, now if we look at the hurtful situation, which we are not able to look at and take accountability, like we said, the moment we take the accountability of the hurt, that is, we are open to look at our own role into our hurt, that's when we can find the freedom from it. Even when we understand it logically, when we are hurting, we are not able to do it. That is because the child who felt hurt, the inner child, uh, is feeling innocent. Now, feeling innocent takes lesser energy than to feel guilt, right? Feeling guilty will demand more of our energy. Rather than that, oh, you have done something wrong to me, and now I'm feeling hurt, so I'm innocent, will not take so much of energy. Also, with that, the child has developed an identity. This hurt makes me feel, look, seem innocent. So, with that identity, it is very difficult for the inner child to pause, breathe, and say that, okay, fine, if there is a side of me which is innocent, then there is another side of me which is guilty. That is the side which is playing the role in feeling the hurt. So, whenever we are not able to do this, we need to recognize that the child is in charge of the personality. Because only the adult has the capability of stepping beyond that comfort zone of feeling innocent and saying that, okay, there must be a part in me which is guilty. Now, when we are saying guilty, what kind of guilt we are talking here is about not the self blame, but responsibility of my hurt lies with me. So, we are talking about that kind of guilt. So, these are the two opposite kinds of uh, energies or consciences which are there within each one of us. We are either feeling guilty or we are feeling innocent. When we include something, we feel innocent. When we exclude something, we feel guilty. When we when we give something, we feel innocent and thereby entitled to receive. When we receive something, we feel kind of dominated by the giver and we feel guilty and we want to move towards the innocence. That's why we want to give it back. So if another person gave us something with love, we want to give it back with love. If another person gave it with whatever emotion, we felt that. we would want to return it in the same experience. So, at any point of time, if you find yourself struggling with not able to take the accountability of your pain, then I think first thing that you can do is pause and say this is the inner child who's struggling, because that inner child has found its comfort in feeling innocent and feeling entitled for whatever apology, or another person coming and rectifying their actions, all of that. The moment you pause and you say that this is a child and the cost is paid by the adult, that is myself in this moment. So that is what you can start asking, because this is a very unconscious thing that keeps on happening within us. And of course, because it is most of the times it is unconscious, or it is too subtle to get noticed, the conscious mind is already playing its ways to cope, right? So it may help us distract, blame, or just give ourselves some spiritual theory, concept, and say, now I'm all sorted. But in that deep moment when you're feeling something happens and that triggers the same hurt, and you're sitting and crying and you're remembering that, then you know that that coping is not helping. So I think sitting with yourself, breathing and catching and saying that, wait, this is the child, and I need to look at the guilty part of me. Right? Priya, do you have anything to add to this?
Um, I think this is such a beautiful concept in itself. When we read about it, and Bert Hellinger has spoken a lot about it in his books. Um, what I came to understand, like what Gayatri mentioned, is that when one is innocent, they are not including, or they are including everything, saying everything is okay. And when one is guilty, they are excluding something. I think accountability lies beyond both these conscience. Like, we are either an innocent conscience or we are in a guilty conscience. And when we are not able to look beyond any difficult or painful emotion, like a hurt or a helplessness, which has happened at a very young age, either we feel very innocent about it and say, okay, now I am at the receiving end, like Gayatri said, or we feel guilty saying, oh, or we exclude the parent or the person who's given us the pain or the cause of the pain itself. But I think the process of healing uh, will lie in between both of this, somewhere where the hurt or the emotion is lying, and beyond that emotion lies the learning. So we usually say in therapy language that guilt vanishes when the wisdom comes in, and wisdom comes in when the adult is able to see the entire picture neutrally after the emotion is processed. So the learning or the wisdom comes and it can be incorporated and embodied only when the emotion is completely processed for the individual. Now, a child cannot do that. The child, till the adult comes into picture, it can happen at any age, will keep moving in either one of these two conscience levels of consciousness. Either it feels guilty or feels innocent. So I think, like Gayatri mentioned, the crux to sitting with an emotion, or even understanding that there is an underlying emotion which is suppressed, would be to catch ourselves saying, where do we want to be innocent and where are we choosing to be guilty? And when I say guilty, like Gayatri said, it's not about guilty as in doing something wrong, but holding on to a perspective or holding on to one side of the story could also mean that you are at one end of the consciousness. So, in short, if I have to, like give an example, something happened. Um, there is a victim and there is a perpetrator. The victim is usually the child. The perpetrator is usually an authority or a situation or something which has caused the person to feel a deep emotion, which is a victimization. That could be a hurt, that could be a helplessness, that could be anything. Now, when the child remains innocent to whatever happened, oh, nothing happened, oh, everything is fine, then even then the child is not ready to look beyond it. So that goes into like a suppression. Or if the child feels extremely victimized, then either starts feeling, oh, my parent did this, or situation did that, and this happened, and that. So it goes outward, right? True accountability lies somewhere in between both of this. The person is able to see the entire situation and say, you know what, I felt this. And then the inclusion, whatever is excluded, starts getting included. The wisdom flows in from the situation. And then life, you know, starts getting embodied in a particular manner. That's how a person becomes more wise. Now, this can happen at any age. But usually, when the brain development is a little better, and when people actually start realizing that these parts of my life are unhealed, is when they are able to look at these deep rooted emotions beyond these two polarized ends of a situation. So, I think the catch would be whenever you find yourself on either end of a polarized um, situation, it's time to look at something in between which is lost. Am I right, Gayatri? Is there something that I missed saying or can be added?
I think this it's like this one principle can give us a lot if we sit with it. So we have just that one thing to share with you today.
In fact, when people say, I want to go beyond in the learning, I want to get the wisdom of the situation, I think I have learned or I have revisited a situation so many times with my therapist or with my healer, or I have sat with myself. I know what my learning is, and still are not able to come out of their um, polarity at some point where the circle comes back again and they are experiencing the same things again and again. It shows that something is amiss, no? Something is not complete. Some part of my consciousness is either feeling guilty or choosing to be innocent and not ready. Like when I say not ready, I'm not saying not willing. Maybe we are willing, but we are not ready. These are two different things. Not ready as yet to see the situation for what it was and to take accountability. So I can take accountability of only things that I can perceive as it is. Na? This happened. But for that, this happened statement to be embodied in the true sense, one can only look beyond when they can, how do I put it? Like when they are beyond their emotional charge. And that requires an adult because the child is embroiled in that emotion. So, in fact, just today we did a session around this, so like so fresh.
Shall we start with the discussion?